right. Welcome, Three Birds fans, to another episode of Three Birds and a Punt. I am Afia, one of the co hosts, and I am joined by my friend John. Say hey, John.
Hey, family.
All right. The title of this episode, episode 45, is Homerun Howie. And we're going to get into a great show tonight. But first, as always, we are so happy to be partnered with the AmazeMedia Labs to be the official Eagles podcast of the Pigskin Network. Make sure that you can, as always, you can find the birds on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Megaphone, or wherever you get your podcast. The Three Birds are also on Twitter and Instagram at Three Birds and a Punt. Please download and subscribe. Please keep downloading and subscribing. We appreciate all the support we've been getting from all you guys, all the fans.
So appreciative.
Absolutely. All right, got a great topic for you tonight. John's got an excellent Eagle of the Week that I'm excited for him to share with you all. But first, we're going to start with our dreaded Sixers, and still kind of stinging over the loss and kind of seeing even how the Celtics are like beating the Heat. I'm just thinking what could have been if JoJo had only been able to stay healthy, or if we had a good bench. And thinking of those thoughts, now we're starting to hear the rumors. I'm still holding out hope Doc is going to get fired. Speaking of, did you see that viral moment of that graduating senior from college who fired Doc?
Fired Doc Rivers. I saw that.
Yeah, because it's real out here. Like
It is.
we want our pound of flesh and we want it now, and he's got to go, right?
It sounds like they're gonna bring him back.
Yeah, I hope not. I really hope it's just talk. But when we get to the nitty gritty, it's just not a good fit. Because everybody talks pretty at the end of the press conference. Everything's great. Hey, listen, we all thought Doug Peterson was going to be back.
That's true, and he defied the odds.
You know what I
totally
mean?
defied the odds.
No one had Doug Peterson being fired on their bingo card for that Eagles, and here it is. Here we go. So I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always gonna. I know you shouldn't be holding out hope that someone gets fired, but I hear there's a really cushy job out there in LA just waiting for him.
Yep.
He'll land on his feet. I'm not worried about it.
I agree. I second that.
Yeah. So there's that rumor that we hope turns out to be true. I saw the other day that the Chicago Bulls are really interested in Matisse Thybulle.
Yep.
And I'm listening because I think he's not as much of an asset as we thought he could be when he's not doing well on defense. When he's not doing well on defense, he's a complete liability.
That's true. His calling card is his defense. I mean, he got named to the second team all defensive team. I know last season he was the runner up defensive player of the year. Mm-hmm. His play kind of fell off. I think it's such a weird time because he was we projected him to come in this year the way that Maxey did, and he hasn't really taken off.
I agree.
I have faith that he will, but do we have the patience?
We're chasing a championship. We're not chasing developmental, I think, players anymore. I think we're looking for the players to be good in year 2, year 3, not year 3, year 4, because we only have how many more seasons do we really have of Joel Embiid being at his most optimal? Like realistically, like maybe 5, 6, maybe with the way the way nutrition and body health goes. But he's a big man and he takes a lot of injuries. It's a lot of rehab for him. It seems like every season he ends with some ailment. Of course, I know all basketball players come, but he tends to be rehabbing, I think, a little bit more than he is refining his game. So it's just a question of how long will that wear and tear on him.
Yeah, he hasn't had a full healthy offseason since even when he was drafted. Remember his foot? It was
like back to back. He couldn't. His foot couldn't get healthy, and then his knee, and then then it was his his calves or his
Yeah,
strains that couldn't get healthy. Then his knee couldn't get healthy. Then his back couldn't get healthy. Then his face couldn't get healthy. Then his back to his knee and his back. He's a big man, 7'2", doing what he
takes a
does.
lot of pounding every
Right,
now. But this year, we saw a growth in him where he changed the game and opened the game up. He's
absolutely.
now bringing the ball to the court. He's a facilitator himself with in the open court. He
Hmm.
he's not settling for threes like he used to. Remember how we used to get mad and like
Yeah,
Chuck and Shaq used to get on him for playing on the post? His game is complete. This was the first year. This was the first season we saw Joel untapped. It's the injuries that hurt him.
yeah, I
Nobody
agree.
could no, and nobody could stop him defensively.
I
Teams could
agree.
frustrate him and
The double
and
teams
throw
and the
everything.
triple teams frustrate him. He sometimes, I think, gets too um antsy to have the ball in his hands. Of course, he's the most dynamic player with the ball in his hands, but teams are they know he's our best player. They know the caliber of the drop off between him and our second guy. So if he's on the court, of course you're going to double Joel. You know what I mean? Until we consistently make the other team pay, we thought James Harden was going to come in and do that. Obviously, that's not happening quite to the way that we thought that it would. He says he's got to get healthy. We'll see. But it's just, again, it's just one of those things where you definitely understand that if we had a better bench, maybe we would be able to manage Joel's minutes better so that the playoffs come. Like, it wasn't even a question of, he had 2 freak accidents happen to him. Like
Yeah,
getting hit in the face is not something that happens due to lack of conditioning,
yeah,
to eating unhealthy, to not doing what you need to do to be ready for play, a vigorous,
hmm
4 quarters of basketball. That was just a cheap
true.
shot. But it
It
completely
was
screwed up everything,
Mr. Siakam.
right? And prior to that, he had the thumb. So I just think, Joel needs help. And
He
so, of
does.
all the best rumors that I've heard, the best one to me is the Bradley Beal rumor.
Yeah. I would
Okay,
love
I
that.
think Bradley Beal is with the Wizards,
Yes, he is. Yes,
right?
he is. Our division rival,
Yeah, and
Wizards.
I don't know. That just seems like a match made in heaven. You
I
know,
agree. And it's funny because they actually wanted Bradley Beal before the Harden trade.
right?
And that seemed like that would be, I think if we didn't make it, regardless of the Harden trade or not, they were really pushing to get Beal here
Hmm.
some way. And it looks like it could be closer, but he's the youngest player of that caliber that's worthy of it. There are some
Yeah,
others like John Wall. I
yeah.
saw Russell Westbrook.
Hmm. Yeah, but Russell Westbrook isn't. Russell Westbrook, I think, is lateral. It's the same as James Harden. It's a player that used to be known as great, but they aren't really as good as they used to be. And maybe it's the injuries, or maybe it's them getting older. Like, you can't quite tell, but it's not effective. You know what I mean? And so I
That's
would
true.
I would be a little wary of going into um taking Russell Westbrook. I want somebody young. I think we need young, dynamic, fast players who are
I
smart.
agree.
You
Yeah,
know,
we need to get fast. We need to get better in transition. You notice how like we talked about the last show, how the Raptors were just like running out one outlet pass and they're already down the court, and there's George Niang trying to get back, or like there's Tobias, or there's Maxi trying to get back from the other side of the court to slow him down, or like
yeah, it's just
we
one
need
of those
speed.
things
We need
that,
speed,
yeah,
speed,
we need
speed,
we need
fast.
aggressiveness.
Hmm
We don't really, outside of Joel, we didn't really like. I think that was the best thing that we had going with DeAndre Carter.
DeAndre, what's his name? Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond, yeah. I don't know why DeAndre's the other guy. He's
DeAndre
terrible.
Jordan. DeAndre Jordan would
He's
look like a
terrible. But
dinosaur.
Andre Drummond, I think the best thing we had going with Andre Drummond is he provided a very stout force for the line when JoJo was out, and we didn't really have that with any of the other bigs when he was gone. Like, none of them really, even, but the ones that did were young,
B-ball
right? We
Paul and
didn't
Paul
play
Bassett.
them enough, right?
Paul
Paul, I'm
Bassett,
talking about
yeah.
you, looking at you, Paul Reed.
B-ball
And
Paul.
yeah, at B-ball Paul, and I just think that if we had a better coach, we maybe have these young guys be more ready, and maybe they could have. Just so many things. I think so many little things outside of the game of basketball affected our playoff chances.
I agree. Like his rotations early were porous at best. Like this hard, this questionable, and it showed late. It's you got you. He has to stop being so stubborn and playing and not playing the young his young players. You're not going to
Absolutely.
play a whole 82 games and then an additional playoff series to make a run at the championship with an 8-man rotation. You're burning out your best players. You completely burn out your best player. He's been nicked up and dinged up and went through
You had him
COVID,
in a
and
game
then you're
where
going to
we
put
were
everything
celebrating like
on him to play 38 minutes a night at 7 feet tall, the most dominant player. Every time he touches the ball, they double and triple team him. Like it's not smart usage. Even though his win rate, Joel's win rate was so high, he was the MVP, clear
yeah,
clear on
no
MVP.
doubt,
It
no
was
doubt about it.
crazy.
I hate to even talk about it because, like, to me, like it's so irrelevant when you look at his body of work to look at whatever metric they were looking at is skewed. It's skewed.
You
But
know
I was,
what it is though? Honestly, um, Jokic put up like crazy numbers
yeah, he put up
too,
stats. He put up
but they
crazy
were
stats. And I get it. But if you
yeah.
look at the team that Jokic had around, the whole idea of the most valuable player award is that your play elevates so much of the other players that without you, they really aren't. And what I saw is that he got bounced very early in the playoffs. It didn't seem like he was the force that his team really needed in order to be effective. And you could tell when Joel's playing and when Joel's not playing, when Joel's able to be effective, when Joel's not able to be effective. And clearly, we go as Joel goes. I don't know how you don't get the leading scorer in the NBA, the most valuable player award. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. So
Isn't
the
that
other
weird? But
metrics people need to
that's that's
use. I
that's
mean,
similar
they
to
went
like
out
the
of their
Knicks.
way to be like, "Oh my God, Jokic is the first player in the NBA to do this, 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 and the third." Like, yeah, when you add all those 3, 4, 5 things together, yeah, I'm sure he is the first player to do all that. You know, I don't know, whatever. But I'm just thinking about that Raptors series and that last game and how we were whooping that ass and they were up by over double digits and JoJo shouldn't have been in the game.
You know what? I just had a flashback from when we played the Nuggets. Remember that dude's Bones Highland? He's from Philly too. Remember that dude Bones Highland for the Nuggets went off? The kid with the dreads. He was like he hit like all these. He hit like 4 or 5 threes. Had like 26 points his first like his coming out game because he played well up until that point. But he was a G League guy, got time, and he cooked us. You don't remember that? Oh,
No.
we were so mad. But that that's who Joker was playing with.
I,
Understandable. No Murray. Murray was out for the year, but Joe was hands down the best player in
yeah.
the league by far. But that even
Absolutely.
without the free throws, he
Yeah,
demanded triple team.
without question. And they're always moving the goalposts for Joel, you know? And so that's the part that's I think most upsetting is that again now this new metric being met that no one's ever had to meet now, right? And then of course that's why Joel didn't get it because Joe Kick was the first player to do this down there. It's like whatever, get out of here. Irrelevant. All right, let's move on to much better news because the Sixers are only gonna depress us and depress us more because either they'll get with it or they won't. Like we really can't. What are we gonna do?
That's true.
Um, I want to talk about what has been crazy enough. We touched on a little bit last week. A great off season for the Eagles and particularly for Howie Roseman. The title of this show is called Homerun Howie. Okay, because that is what he's been engineering for us this offseason. On paper, I like to qualify. On paper, the team looks formidable. The team looks Super Bowl caliber. Of course, everybody knows what I'm talking about. We recently just signed James Bradbury to a 1-year deal. There are talks that we may be trading for Jesse Bates of the Cincinnati Bengals because he's unhappy with his contract. He wants a new contract. He's on the franchise tag. He's not going to play under the franchise tag. So usually those players get traded. It is a very interesting offseason for the Eagles. It was one that kind of started off kind of quiet, kind of low key. We were very much like, hey, wake up, is this thing on? You know what I mean? And now it's really, really kind of sped up. And now we're like, oh my god, we're getting the people that we were hoping to get after being left at the altar by all these other different free agents. And I think it's completely changed the narrative of our offseason. The fans are happy for once.
That's true. They really changed their approach, and you got to give all hats off to Howie and staff. They really knocked it out of the park. And even if you look at some of the James Bradbury's contract was released this afternoon, and basically he has a 4 years that are voidable. Mm-hmm. So his cap hit this coming season is only $2.2 million. That's amazing. That leaves us space to get a guy with the caliber of a Jesse Bates. But honestly,
what I think is even more amazing is
his tape wasn't that great though for last year. Jesse Bates' tape wasn't. It was average at best, and he wants to be paid like a top 5 safety. The year before he was amazing. Kind of like he was decent. He was decent, but he wasn't the game changer he was the year prior. Right. I don't know if it was injuries or what have you, but I did like Jesse Bates coming out in the draft too. He was a player I had on my draft list for the Eagles, but honestly, I would give up. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm piggybacking off of you. I think it's imperative that we need a safety. I hope Jesse Bates. I mean, I think all these names are very intriguing. They're very sexy names, but again, on paper, like you said, Jesse's had one good season. He's had one not so good season, and now he wants to be paid like a top end cornerback. Knowing how Howie Roseman and the Eagles works, there's no way we would trade for a player without making sure that contract extension was in place beforehand. So, in dealing with the agent, if the numbers aren't right, I don't see the Eagles losing their shirt over a safety. Like, I think that they can figure out a way to hide that safety, that second safety position a lot better now that we have James Bradbury and Darius Slay and Avonte Maddox. Like Avonte, I think people forget that at one point we had Avonte play safety.
Yeah.
And he played safety very well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
So if it came down to perhaps, him being better at the safety spot than maybe the slot spot, I could see him being versatile enough to get back in there. Maybe if the numbers improve, or it could be Mike Epps. Like Mike Epps could really show us something. So I don't think the Eagles are feeling like they have to do something at the position, considering all the numbers. They're not going to sit here and pay Jesse Bates a number that's going to make him the highest paid safety in the league when Darius Slay is not the highest paid cornerback in the league. Like the deals of the times where Howie made deals that broke the bank and broke the standard is long gone. That's Dream Team vibes.
Dream Team.
Right?
I was
right.
See.
Remember when Namdi and what's DeMar Cromartie?
Oh yeah, DRC.
Deals, right? At the time,
Dominic Rogers Cromartie. Namdi Asma. Namdi eating his lunch in his car.
Right. And he was like not what it he was so cerebral and so like California style aesthetic, and he came to like hard
he's a good actor though. He's a good actor.
Yeah. No, I wish him the best. I think he's doing great with what he's doing with his life now. It was just very interesting. I think he played the role in a very refined way. And Eagles is a very hard smash mouth type of football. And it just wasn't a good fit. It was never going to be a good fit. But, Dream Team vibes.
Dream Team vibes. Javon Curse, the freak.
Yeah, that was something else. Vince Young coming in
Vince
thinking he was,
Young.
yeah, did that. We had a lot of different players come in that season. Some of them panned out. I think Herman's. If you remember the old
Todd Her- the
lineman,
God,
Todd Herman's.
the Todd father. Yeah, I met
Yeah,
him. He's nice. Nice
yeah, he was
dude.
great. He was an excellent addition to it. So the line moves worked, of course, but those skill position players, they were terrible. So I definitely, I don't know. We'll see when it comes to Jesse Bates. But I was thinking, you brought to mind um this thing with James Bradbury. The best part about his contract, not including like the low cap number and the kind of pretty good money that they're paying him, but if after this year he goes out and finds another team in free agency, we get a comp pick for him. So
Which would be great.
how we structured this way, in which even if we do lose him after this year, if they can't come to an agreement, he's still going to get something of value out of him, which is more than what
Giants
the
did.
Giants are going to get out from him.
Giants. Oof.
Yeah, the Giants are still paying for the mistakes of that Dave Gettleman period. So
Hmm.
we're able to really just benefit from a lot of their mismanagement. And then it really just goes back to a credit to Howie. I saw this tweet the other day that kind of laid it out and was like, Howie turned the Carson Wentz trade and that meaningless Week 17 game and all these different moves into, we have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and a first round pick in 2023, and we have and Jordan Davis. Like, he turned these, and that's the thing. I will always give Howie credit for being a masterful wheeler and dealer. He knows where the bones are buried. That gives him a great amount of leverage when it comes to talking to his friends. Now, most of these people, his GMs, are now his contemporaries. Where they used to be maybe more of his rivals. Maybe they looked at him with a bit of disdain because he was a young guy coming in, trying to
Hmm.
disrupt things. Now he's the leading edge of all these people. Now he's got a executive tree, where he pretty much has a inkling with all these different executives. So I think it just creates so much better positioning. But we'll see when the rubber meets the road. I think he's set himself up really nicely. In which case he can say, "I gave you these great ingredients. I gave you these great personnel on paper, individuals who look to be everything you'd want to have in a player. If it doesn't pan out, it's not on me. I picked the right players."
Hmm. I agree. That's a great statement because that sky's the limit. On paper, he built it up perfectly. He set you up for the present and the future, like in unison. It looks like it's going to be good, and sky's the limit. It's truly up to Jalen Hurts now.
Yeah, I
The,
agree.
the
I
It's
100%.
his
I
team,
think it's
and
it's so clear.
he acknowledged it himself. This is his team.
Hmm.
He knows what's ahead and what's expected, and he's willing to work for it. And he said there isn't a day that goes by if there's no work that's done. That's a
Right.
wasted day.
That's
Like the
that.
kid
Wow. That's a
has
very
all the
powerful statement for a young
intangibles,
man.
and if they could just put it all to get out, we had to get out to a hot start. Luckily, the schedule makers gave us a wonderful late setup for the first few games.
Yeah, we'll
They're
get into
all
that a
winnable. We
little bit
could,
later, but I really want to talk about how that relates, like you said, to this grand goal. Like, they really feel like they've set up. They haven't just set them up like to really just muddle in the waters. Like, we didn't really. I feel like we didn't really put too much emphasis into the team last year, and then we surprised everybody and got into a playoff run. So now I'm like, okay, if we put real assets behind a lot of these individuals, let's see what can come to fruition. And I think it's interesting to me. I think it's abundantly clear that the Eagles want to be a passing team. They they
yeah,
they became a running team because that was needed due to the limitations in the passing game. But we want to be a passing team. It's a passing league. We have a passing owner. We have an offensive minded owner. That's just the way it is. we've got a lot of great new skill positions put players for these offensive passing game, right? AJ Brown being the biggest addition, but
Mhm.
it'll all come down to the quarterback.
Zach
You know,
Pascal.
it'll all come down to how well he can distribute and facilitate the ball with accuracy and timely decision making.
That's the truth.
Um,
And he's been working with Tom House, the pitching guru.
yeah, yes, he has.
He's
Yes, he
working
has.
every
And
day. That
I'm
dude.
really hopeful that it will come out to be, um, something that's gonna be like I think Jalen shows flashes, but what Jalen needs is consistency, as with all quarterbacks, right? With any professional trying to maintain their sport. And I just want to lead this right in. We're going, get into this whole idea, but right now we got to take a ad break. What you hear right there is an ad break. Because when we get back, we're going to talk about this idea that Jalen can he be the guy in the schedule? Does that match with the opportunity for us to show that Jalen is the guy? But first, we have an exciting opportunity with our partners, DraftKings Sportsbook. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to be so excited because I know we have a lot of basketball fans on here as well as our Three Birds Eagles fans, okay? The NBA playoff action is nonstop at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the NBA playoffs? With DraftKings same day parlays, you can do just that. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, total threes made, total rebounds, and more. And boom, you have a shot at even larger payout. Right now, all customers can place a same game parlay with 3 or more legs and get a free bet to back up to $25 if one leg doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using promo code TPPN. You see it scrolling down on your screen. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code TPPN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Now that sounds like a great deal. Tap in. Tap in, guys. All right, now I want to, like I said, just really continue on with our great conversation about, this Eagles schedule and how it really could end up, boding well for Jalen and his hopes to be the franchise QB. I think we have the third easiest schedule in the league next this season, and we're not playing too many teams with a winning record from the previous season, and the other day I saw this other tweet that said we were 1-7 against winning teams last year.
It's true.
It's terrible. It's terrible numbers.
It's true.
But we're not playing that many winnable teams this year. Okay, I think of the teams that we're playing that with a winnable record, we have the Titans, the Packers, and the Cardinals,
and of course the Cowboys,
and whatever. Yeah, the Cowboys. But outside of those 4, I can't think. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, thinking about that schedule. I can't think of any other teams that we have to really necessarily worry about. So I'm really, really, really encouraged. That. Although I don't know, I'm like as I'm really kind of go through it, I'm like 80-20. I'm 80% encouraged because I think that's great. Like it's gonna. Like we could easily win 10 games, with the schedule, 11, 12 games, now with the addition of Bradbury, I think we could easily win 12 games. But I also worry about the ability for us to really be able to gauge, is Jalen improving or are we just playing bad competition?
I think it's a combination of both, and we kind of got lucky with the scheduling this year based on our finish. We got the transitioning Steelers. That's gonna be fun. Mason Rudolph. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Kirk Cousins on prime time to open up our home opener. That's gonna be fun. That's the day after my birthday.
That should be.
We opened at Detroit. That's the first time we've ever opened on the road at Detroit, and Ford Field is amazing. That's a nice turf.
Yeah.
Shout out to the
We got a
Detroit.
lot of great, interesting games at that stadium. So I'm expecting another interesting game. I remember games where we played the Lions, and of course the playing the Lions is almost like playing the Browns, right? Like there's just no expectation of loss. But
You know
I
what?
felt like
One of the last times we matched up against the Lions was right.
was that the Carson Wentz. I feel like it was the game right before, right? 2016, Carson Wentz. Do you remember that game? I think it was one of the last games with Megatron or something like that, if I recall.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
remember because we were whooping that ass,
Yeah.
and then somehow, some way,
Slay was
uh,
on that team. Slay picked us off. I remember.
yeah, I think so. He was still on the
Slay picked
team,
them off.
and we were winning, and then we were driving for. And you know what? It's so funny to remember this game, that Lions game, because it's honestly indicative of what ended up going wrong with Carson, and it was early on, right? I think it was very early on in there before we even got to 2017, before we even fell in love with them. But we were playing the Lions. I think we were down by a score. We were driving. We were in perfect position. Like everything was going great. Everything was going smooth.
He threw
We're
a pick, right?
matriculating down the field. And this guy, Carson, decides he wants to go for the whole enchilada. He's like, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. He forgot he's in the NFL. He's not playing college ball anymore, And so he gets out of he comes out of his stance and he chucks the ball down the field. And I don't know. I can't for the life of me remember who it was intended for. Maybe it was for Nelson Aguilar. Maybe I can't remember who it was for.
Was it
But
Bryce
he got picked
Treggs or
off.
somebody? It was somebody. It was like Bryce Treggs or it got
Some
picked. It got picked off, right?
off, and that was game. And that was indicative because instead of Carson going through his reads, going through his progressions, taking what the defense gives him, taking it easy, that he went for what he thought was going to be an open shot, but they baited him. They baited him into throwing a pick.
Yep.
And that's behavior that he still hasn't, sadly enough, onto his third team, and he still hasn't been able to cure himself of that particular affliction. Just taking what the defense gives him.
Did you happen to see his interview with Colin Cowherd?
No, I didn't. What did he
Where
say?
Colin Cowherd asked him his thoughts on Jim Irsay's comments about trading for Carson was a mistake, and it was like cringeworthy. It was so cringeworthy.
Yeah. Was Carson at that moment, was Carson not aware that Jim Irsay had made those comments?
I don't know, but it was he kind of like played it off like it wasn't, and it was very bizarre. I was like, this is.
I think Carson maintains a lot of um contrived obliviousness to a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like in his like all NFL players have this mantra where they're like, I'm gonna block out the noise, I'm gonna block out the negativity, I'm not gonna allow that, stuff to kind of, mess me up or whatever. And to an extent, I think it's positive, when you are, blocking out the noise, you're not letting all these things get into your head. But I do think it becomes very self-defeating when you won't allow any type of constructive criticism to enter into your ears, where you're kind of having a very stubborn mindset, a very, very locked in mentality where your way is the only way. And you're not really listening to what other people are saying and how that could really, really help you and benefit you in your career. You took this step to ask for a trade, to leave the only organization you ever known because you felt like you weren't being supported. You felt like you weren't being given the keys to leadership in the way you wanted, whatever. And then you get to a new organization, the organization you wanted, with the person that you wanted, and he stuck out his neck for you. He really went to bat for you so bad he had to freaking go to his boss and apologize for the trade in order to try to smooth over any ruffled feathers. And I think the owner had a certain level of an expectation of what type of leader he wanted in his quarterback. He really wants a franchise level quarterback, a la Peyton Manning, a la, Andrew Luck. And that's what he thought he was getting in Carson. But for Carson to have not been in that leadership role when it came to COVID-19, for him to not really be taking on that leadership role when it came to playing within the structure of the offense, taking what the team's giving him, not falling prey to his worst instincts. I think he led the league in the most left-handed passes, and he's not a left-handed quarterback.
Oh, that's from him getting sacked trying to throw.
Yeah, like it's just doing too much, and you're in your 6th or 7th year in the league now, and you're still trying to do too much.
Yeah,
And with hindsight being 2020, you can look back on it and you can say, wow, it's that type of recklessness that got us to where we were in 2017. But there's a fine line.
that's
And he
true.
still hasn't been able to really master that line. And I think, and a lot of times he really is very arrogant about that line, and it's led him to the Washington Commanders, which is literally arguably the worst team in the entire league, if not our division, of course.
They Donovan McNabbed him.
Yeah, right. They got him for whatever they could take for him. Said, take him off our hands. And it's crazy because you look at what the other teams, what other team traded for QB. You look at what the Colts got for Matt Ryan, and you look at what I forgot what other team got a QB, and you look at the Washington Commanders, and it's just like you guys are desperate to do anything to take the name of how bad your organization is, just in general, from top to bottom, just trash.
Amid all the federal investigations from the league, that I felt bad for Washington.
Yeah.
They're
He'll
going
fit right
through it.
in with all these other anti-vaxxers, like your coach has cancer, still a cancer survivor, and he begs you guys to please, get vaccinated. Please protect yourself against the immune compromise. They still won't listen. So he'll fit in very well there. But yeah, so that game's gonna be interesting. His homecoming, and then obviously when we go to play the Washington football team, I'm particularly excited for that Houston game. I'm hoping to get out there and see that game. I just think our schedule is really really um manageable. Of course, again, we're all talking paper, baby. I can't wait. I think OTAs are gonna start in a couple of days soon.
Mhm.
Maybe tomorrow. I think tomorrow we might get our first real practice type football news, and I'm excited for the AJ Brown, Jalen Hurt tweets.
That's true because they're friends, and like you go to battle for your friend. There's a level
Mm-hmm.
of comfort that's there that helps you just settle in and play. They welcomed them with open arms. I'm sure you saw the photo of Jalen and working out with his receivers
Yeah.
earlier today. That was a
Yeah.
refreshing sight to see. Um, I'm looking forward to AJ Brown's revenge game against the
Against the
Titans
Titans.
in Philly.
Yeah, you see
That's
what
gonna
they've
be a
been
good
saying. You
one.
see we see what he had to post on social media today about how
Uh,
the Titans fans are really like ripping him a new one, because he asked to get a contract that reflected what he brought to the team, and the team said no. The
he
team
doesn't owe
said
the team. He
no.
doesn't owe the team anything. He doesn't
Right.
owe them
He doesn't
anything.
owe the Titans anything. They said no to him. He didn't ask for a trade.
He
He
don't
didn't
owe
go
them
to
nothing.
them and say, "Hey, pay me or trade me." They came to him with a number. He said, "This number's too low. I'm worth this." They came back to him and said, "No, I'm sorry. We don't think you're worth that. You're free to seek a trade." And he was like, "Oh, word? I can get traded? Y'all not even going to negotiate with me? Y'all just going to say, okay, go find another team? Bet." And he went and found another team. Like, I don't understand how people can be mad at that type of logic.
That's true. And and we gotta commend Jalen Hurts for being the master recruiter in that regard because
Absolutely.
none of this would have happened if Jalen didn't reach out to Howie. because
Absolutely.
they were already
And
friends.
then
So
Amel,
he
hey,
reached
I
out to
got
Howie
a
and
friend. They were needing a
he went to
new.
Howie and asked him directly to see if we can get him.
Right.
And that was days before the draft. Howie, they worked it out with his Howie and his staff. They worked it out, and they worked it right up into the draft within a matter of minutes of the draft, working out, iron out the details, iron out the extension, and I think they did a masterful job in that. The schedule set up perfectly for him, and we have nice, talented players, top to bottom. And there's gonna be some training camp battles that
Yeah,
are gonna surprise you, and
I agree.
I
I'm
look forward
excited.
to it.
Oh, I'm very, very, very excited about this upcoming season. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be, I mean, and if anything else, is going to be entertaining because sometimes I feel like the Eagles do the best and when they're in like opposite world, right? Where when expectations are the lowest, we tend to exceed those expectations. When expectations are really, really high, we tend to never be able to perform up to whatever it is that we were expecting. So it's kind of like a 50-50 thing here where you're like, I don't want to expect too much from the team because I know if I do, they're not going to be able to live up. Like if I'm thinking to myself, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, like no, like I just want to see, honestly, to me, win one more game. You win one more game than last season, and I'll be happy. I'll be
Me too.
completely and honestly satisfied. It's been a
Me
long
too.
time since we won 10 games.
We can. It's doable.
It's doable.
When I look at the schedule, I see 11 wins off the
Yes,
bat
yes.
that we should on
So
paper like do.
on paper, right? It should be very and all things being equal, well, this is a better team than the one last. Obviously, I know Sierra League. I'm not here to question what the other team's makeup is. I'm talking about our team makeup. Our team makeup is better than it was last year, so that should lead itself to one more game.
That's true.
And that's my measurement of success. And then when it comes to individual components, you know what I'm looking for from Jalen. I don't even have to go into that. I'll save it for another topic. All right, let's end with our Eagle of the Week. I'm excited to hear, John, who you got for us. Please, please, um, lead us off and tell us who your Eagle of the Week is.
My Eagle of the Week, our Eagle of the Week is former five-time All-Pro player drafted seventh overall in the 1992 draft, out of Trenton, New Jersey, Pennsbury High School. One of the leaders of our vaunted defense in the secondary. Um, Graduate of University of Wisconsin, the one and only Troy Vincent.
Oh,
He should be
nice.
he should be a Hall of Famer. He got inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame. He's currently the executive vice president of football operations for the NFL, right under Roger Goodell. He's he's visible during the draft. He does the second round and other rounds. Um, great leader of men, and you could see it then. His addition to that Eagles defense elevated their play, and for years to come after his departure, like even when he went to Buffalo, we had Lito Shepard and Sheldon Brown to learn from Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent. So, but he set a standard and a culture, and just a just a great person, great player, great philanthropist. Like he donates back to the Pennsbury High School community a lot. One of the all-time great Eagles. Finished his career with 47 interceptions. He should be a Hall of Famer. Should be a Hall of
Absolutely.
Famer. I know he made the position change from corner to safety later in his career to extend his career a little bit. He was great player, great person. So we salute you, Troy Vincent.
Absolutely. We'd
Thank
love to
you.
have you on anytime to talk about your accolades, your charitable work, and your time with the Eagles. We appreciate you. Excellent Eagle of the Week, John.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that has been another episode, excellent episode of Three Birds in a Punt. Please make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast. We're streaming on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, okay? You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, okay, at Three Birds and a Punt. Okay, you can follow me personally at According to Afia. Okay, you see me scrolling at According to Afia. And you can follow my guy John at John Monroe Jr. on Twitter. Okay, don't forget.
Don't
All
forget.
right, and our last comment before we going out. Oh, somebody's shouting out John John. Hey, we got a shout out. Somebody's got a shout out. Thank you all. We appreciate the
Thank
love.
you.
Have a good night. Go
Have a good
Birds.
have a good night. Go Birds.